Hello, my name is Jarek. I welcome you to a presentation dedicated to diamond pads.
Let's talk about something you hear all the time in the professional cleaning world. A little piece of conventional wisdom. A pad is just a pad, right? The idea that they're all basically the same thing, a simple disposable part you use and toss. But what if that one simple assumption is secretly costing you a fortune? Yeah, that quote pretty much hits the nail on the head. In this explainer, we're going to completely debunk that a pad is a pad myth. We're going to look at the actual science and, more importantly, the hard numbers behind professional floor pads. Because it turns out what looks like a simple disc of fiber can be a pretty sophisticated piece of engineering. And this is really the best way to think about it, a tale of two pads. On one side, you've got your sprinters. These are the cheap, conventional pads made with basic monocrystal abrasives. And sure, they come out of the gate super fast and aggressive, but after a really short burst of work, they just die. They go dull. On the other side, you have the marathoners, like these EZshine pads. These things are engineered with advanced polycrystal diamonds, and they are built for pure endurance, maintaining their full power for hundreds of hours.
So what is it that gives the marathoner this insane endurance? What's the secret? Well, the answer isn't just one thing. It's a whole different kind of core technology.
The secret sauce here is something called a polycrystal diamond. Now, when you hear that, don't picture a big single gemstone. That's not what this is. A polycrystal is an incredibly complex structure made of thousands of microscopic diamond crystals all fused together into one abrasive particle. It's less like a single solid rock and more like a tightly packed bundle of tiny, super sharp teeth. And this is where the real magic happens. That unique structure is what allows the pad to be self-sharpening. So here's how it works. Step 1, as the pad is working, the very top point of that polycrystal structure hits the floor and starts to wear down. Normal enough, right? But then, step 2, and this is the genius part. As it wears, the tiny microcrystals at the tip fracture and break away. This leads to step 3. That fracturing process is constantly revealing brand new razor-sharp microscopic teeth that were packed right underneath. And the real-world benefit of this is just huge. Because the pad is constantly renewing its own cutting edge, its performance never fades. You could be an hour into a tough job, and that pad is just as aggressive and effective as it was in the very first minute. For anyone who's actually done the work, you know what this means. No more glazing, that incredibly frustrating moment where a normal pad just stops cutting and starts uselessly sliding across the floor. Okay, that technology is really cool, but what does it mean for the bottom line? Let's translate this science into what really matters for any business, the return on investment.
And this is where the difference is just staggering. A conventional pad, our sprinter, starts losing its bite after maybe 1,000 square meters, and at that point you have to stop what you're doing, change the pad, and throw the old one away. But one single EZshine polycrystal pad, one pad, can cover up to 46,000 square meters. I mean, that's not just a little better, it's a completely different league of performance.
So that brings us to the big question, right? How many of those cheap sprinter pads would you have to buy and store and take the time to change out to do the same amount of work as just one of these marathoner pads? 40. The answer is 40. You would burn through 40 conventional pads to get the same working lifespan as a single polycrystal pad. Just think about that for a second. The savings on the pads themselves, the storage space, and the sheer amount of wasted labor time from changing pads 40 separate times. Now, this table breaks down the true cost of cleaning. And I know what you're thinking, that initial unit price for the marathoner is higher. You know, maybe $68 compared to $5 or $10. But look at the metric that actually matters, the cost per 1,000 square feet. With the cheap pad, you're spending between 50 cents and $1. But with the EZshine pad, you're down to between 13 and 22 cents. The bottom line is, the expensive pad is actually 4 to 5 times cheaper to use in the real world. But believe it or not, the innovation doesn't stop with the diamonds. The entire pad is designed to solve other, really common frustrations that cleaning pros deal with every single day. So first up is something called the Tough Flex suspension. Now, the problem with a lot of floors, especially tile, is they're never perfectly flat. You get bumps, uneven grout lines, what they call lippage between tiles. A normal rigid pad catches on those edges and just gets torn to shreds. The solution here is an elastic Tough Flex space. It basically acts like a car's shock absorber, letting the pad just float over those imperfections, distributing the pressure evenly and stopping it from ripping apart. And the second killer feature is this anti-clogging design. One of the biggest reasons pads fail is they get loaded up or clogged with dirt and slurry. It just chokes the abrasives and makes them totally useless. These pads, though, have a special open fiber structure. It allows water to constantly flow through the pad, flushing out all that gunk so it can't build up. The pad basically keeps breathing and keeps on working.
So let's just put that all together for a second. You've got self-sharpening diamonds, a flexible base that doesn't tear, and an anti-clogging design. The result is a tool that you treat completely differently. You are no longer throwing away pads that look fine, but have stopped working. You use every single bit of this tool until it has literally worn away to nothing.
So, after all that, what's the final verdict? Well, it's really about changing your perspective. It's about deciding to choose a high-performance tool, not just buying another cheap consumable. This final scorecard really says it all, doesn't it? The Sprinter relies on basic tech, has a super short lifespan, and its performance fades fast. The Marathoner, on the other hand, brings self-sharpening polycrystal technology, which gives it that extreme longevity and keeps it sharp right to the very end. Where the cheap pad tears and clogs, the Marathoner is flexible and clog-resistant. It is a clear win on every single metric that matters.
I think this quote just perfectly captures the shift in mindset you have to make. You have to stop thinking of a floor pad as a simple sponge you use to wipe up dirt. It's not. It's a precision abrasive tool, engineered to do a job, and its most important quality is that it stays sharp and effective from start to finish.
And that really leaves us with one last really important question to think about. We've just seen how the cheap option for a floor pad can actually be way more expensive. So it makes you wonder, where else in your operation could that buy cheap mentality be secretly draining your budget? It's a powerful question, and it's definitely worth considering.
It may look like magic, but it's powered by advanced science.
Don't waste your life on old methods. Life is too short.